Everton are ahead Man U. Like Trump is
I'm
president.
I'm
Like
a, I'm gonna
this
just
is
start it, Chris. I'm gonna just start it.
all right. Go ahead.
What's up, y'all? I mean, don't worry, you'll get your chance to go ahead of me when we talk. We go down the table and we talk about Everton
Yeah.
right before United because that's
Right.
where the table is. But what's up, y'all? Welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. My name is Ian Edwards, and hey, man, it is what it is. And we'll talk about Liverpool a little bit. Then we'll slide down to Arsenal, who are in second place. Then we'll slide up on Man City, who look like the old Man City this weekend. I don't know how long that's going to last. I don't believe in it. Uh, they're Jekyll and Hyde. Then we're going to talk about Chelsea, and we have Neil Chakravarti here, stand-up comic and Chelsea fan. And there was a discussion in the chat, so that'll come out too. I don't think he's happy with the Chelsea results this week. Then maybe talk about Aston Villa a little bit and Marcus Rashford, maybe if we got time. But then we're going to slide down to Tottenham and their match against United. But before we even get to United, we'll talk about Everton because Everton's ahead of us in the table. And then we're going to take after we talk about the top of the bottom of the table, we go straight to the bottom of the table and we'll talk to Lee, stand-up comic and Southampton fan. But Lee, hey man, enjoy these games in the Prem. And Chris
it's hard to enjoy
Triani's
them.
Here. I know. I know. You know what? Don't enjoy the games. Fuck it. Don't pretend. And as I said, Chris Triani is here, stand-up comic, Everton fan. And so we'll talk to him about this third coming of David Moyes. This is the third coming of David Moyes, right?
Feels like it. Yeah.
Yeah, three's yeah. Fool me three. Next time, let people fool you three times because it's working for Everton. So, what's up, y'all? How y'all feeling?
Good.
Isn't that crazy? There's a Man U fan and a Chelsea fan,
other people,
and the only person, and a Southampton fan. The only person that's feeling good is Everton. Everton's the only Everton. Like the way the season started, or the last few years at Everton, the only person on the podcast this weekend feeling good, got 3 points after a midweek thing where they tied with Liverpool at Goodison Park in the last Merseyside derby. But you know what? We'll get to that. We'll just hit Liverpool right quick. And the only thing I want to say about Liverpool is it Diego Jota? Is his name? He almost cost them the title by diving. You know, that was clearly a dive. He had a shot on goal because he beat the defender, but he said, no, let me pretend there was a collision with the defender and get a penalty. And it's like, if you're a forward and you get it, you have a great finishing rate, why wouldn't you stay on your feet instead of pretend to dive and try to get a penalty so that your teammate would take the penalty? Even though Mo Salah is a really good penalty taker, but I think Mo Salah already took one penalty in this match that I don't think that they necessarily deserve because that was a dive too. So it's like, bro, stay on your feet and try to score. And then it gets wiped off the board. You don't get the penalty. And then it's a tight ass game. And you could see and feel the nerves of Liverpool at this moment. So what do you guys think about Jota's terrible decision, even though he made the first goal, to do what he did to put Liverpool? He could have put Liverpool 3-1 up and sealed the match at home.
Take the shot.
Take the shot, right?
You've cut inside. You sent the guy, you sent the guy the other way. Just finish the shot. Yeah, it's it's crazy. I thought it was a really sort of poor refereeing performance as well. I thought Kanate shouldn't have got the good grace of being told that he was about to be being sent off and allowing to get subbed as well. Found that kind of crazy.
I know, it's like the ref subbed him.
Yeah, he went, you should probably take this guy off, otherwise I'm going to have to send him off.
Yeah.
So yeah, I found all of that, pretty crazy. But I mean, I think I saw a stat as well that Liverpool didn't have a shot on target in the second half.
Oh,
of his
shit.
game as well. So like, yeah, Jota should have definitely, just put that game. That game's, done at 3-0 as well
Hmm.
if he finishes that. So yeah, crazy, crazy decision, especially with VAR now as well. It's like you're gonna get caught.
But that's the thing, though. The VAR has been so bad that Jota is
Mm.
like, I can get away with this.
Yeah.
Like it's the only form of CCTV that doesn't work 100%. Anybody else, any criminal in the city of London is going to jail for even thinking about breaking into a storefront window. But so many football players have got away with that. And my other thing or complaint about it, like once you wipe off that penalty, where's the card?
Yeah.
Like how is he? How is
That's
he
diving? Yeah.
Yeah, that's diving. Like that's why you didn't give it, right? So
Yeah.
he dove. So where's the card? Anybody
We
else
need to
want
make
to
we
comment
need to
on
make
that?
diving a straight red, by the way.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and the thing with diving is like it gets so subjective sometimes, but this one was not subjective. Like this one was a clear dive.
Yeah. Yeah. He should have got a card the color of Chris's cup, like straight up. I want to slide
yeah,
down. Go ahead.
that was a great game. Like, and almost like you couldn't write it any better. Well, I guess it could have been better if Everton won on their last derby game at Goodison, but no, that ending and then Decore doing what he did, it was perfection. It was absolute perfection. I'm so happy that he decided to do that. And fair play to Curtis Jones also, I feel like they both did exactly the right things to do in that moment. And like if any of those guys had done things a little less, it would have like ruined it for me.
Yeah, it's like fireworks at the end of the year. Like it's
Yeah.
the last game. It's a crack of a game. The only thing could take us over the top, and you know how if you go to Disneyland in LA, they have fireworks at the end of they have that fireworks show. This was the Disneyland fireworks show, that scuffle at the end of that match. How you feel about the game, Chris? Let's just.
I mean, kind of a given that Liverpool would win. I do agree with Diogo needing the red card. I was looking it up the other day. They said it's only the fifth penalty all season that's actually been overturned through VAR. So it's quite rare. But that also means I agree. I think it was Neil was saying like the red card for simulation is what they call it. Like, which is such a simulation, such like a funny, nice way to put it. I think you mean bad acting.
Cheating.
Yeah.
Like you don't. I walked in the house and caught my wife simulating on me.
Yeah.
You don't say that. It's cheating, fam.
Yeah. Honey, I wasn't cheating. I was simulating what it would be like to not be with you.
It's not what it looks like. I was not simulating.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, agree. I mean, do we feel like it's inevitable that Liverpool are just going to win?
I don't think it's inevitable.
Yeah, I don't know either.
They've got a tough run of games coming up as well. Let me just double check. I was looking at this earlier. Their next three games aren't easy. I think it's Villa, City,
Good.
and then someone else tough
Newcastle.
as well. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Villa, City, Newcastle.
That's tough, y'all. And to think,
but I still feel like they're a better. Like it's Arsenal, right? So I feel like they're a better team, and also
damn, jeez, did you just Spurs them?
No, but I mean, at this moment, I do feel they're a better team, and they have those individuals who can, pretty much like grab you and like take you across the line, even if parts of the team aren't functioning at its best. And I don't think Arsenal have any such players. So yeah, maybe they get close at some point, like before this game, before the like yesterday, 4 points. It looks like it's close, but 90 minutes later, it's 7 points again. So I feel like that's what, depending on whether Arsenal or Liverpool play first on a given game week, I think we're gonna have a delusion of illusion of a close title race, but it's never really gonna be that.
But it is until it isn't, right? like if Liverpool drop 3 points in these next 3 games, then it's so close that it makes the Liverpool players nervous enough for Arsenal to get comfortable. Being the chasers, they might be better as chasers than being ahead and being chased by Man City. So I just don't think it's a done deal. I do think Arteta and the board help Liverpool win this title. Liverpool do win this title by not signing a forward in the preseason window, not the January window, the preseason window, because all of us on here, we're not even Arsenal fans, but my mom knew Arsenal needed a 9. Like it's crazy that they didn't get one.
Hey, they got Mikel Merino now. That was the best number 9 performance of the weekend.
Mm-hmm. Second to Marmoush, yes. But like as far as like seconds per goal or minutes on the pitch per goal, it's because Marmoush had his hat trick in like 32 minutes, and Merino had his brace in like what? How long was he on the pitch before he put those 2 headers in?
He might have been like 20-something minutes.
Yeah, so yeah, pretty close. What do you guys think? Arsenal and Mourinho's goals.
It's good penalty box goals, weren't they? He was in the right place. I mean, he's the midfielder, but he had the striker's instinct on those goals for sure.
And do you think he could do it again? Because Arsenal looks stagnant.
It's Arsenal, so probably not.
It's hilarious. Like, yeah. So I don't know. What do you guys think about Marmoush and Man City? 3 points.
Well, let's not forget that the Firmino thing. You know, if they get Firmino, actually, they will have a striker. They're trying to get him.
Now, Martin, you put that news source in there?
Yeah. It's possible. I mean, if he's a free agent, they can sign him.
Have you ever?
It would have been possible if you hadn't put that up. I would have totally believed it if I read somewhere else on the
Why not? Why not? That makes
the moment you put that link up, I'm like,
you know that most of the transfers came through. That the one that I put in.
No, they didn't. No, they did not. And Martin, do me a favor and wipe off your camera. Now we have a group chat, and Martin will put the most outrageous potential trades. I don't know where he finds them. I feel like I watch football shit 24/7, and I don't even run into these.
He does not check his sources.
Most of them were correct. Most of them were correct. Most of them were correct.
You just had Martin.
I feel like Martin's in charge of a farm. Like, you know, those clickbait farms, like Martin's like, all right, deploy the resources now.
Good sources.
Mine's meant to be the legitimate journalist here, but he's the one that shares the most illegitimate news.
I know Martin used to work for like 442 and a lot of numerous sports magazines, but he'll cite the most illegitimate sources in the group chat. It's pretty hilarious.
But some of them are legit.
I don't know. So
some of them are.
So explain this one again, so that the people listening or watching.
Well, I mean, it's like in the NBA. You know, when the players are out of contract, they can still sign a contract past the deadline. So I believe that players that can get their contracts canceled in Saudi Arabian League, they can potentially come and still sign in the Premier League. So I think you can sign those people. But not all of them. There have to be circumstances. But there is some loophole for them to be signed. Same with, I believe, MLS people. There's some loophole.
They have to be a free agent.
But, yeah, they have to be a free agent. But
who else is a free agent? Ian Wright, and I don't think Arsenal are going to sign him. So
no.
Well, not until Martin puts that in the chat right after this podcast.
Okay. Well, listen. We'll get to menu. We'll get to menu.
Diego Costa here is a free agent too.
Pogba,
he's a striker. Diego Costa.
Diego Costa is another striker, and there's a rumor about Man U bringing Pogba. He's another free agent. So
I got to be honest, I'll take him. I'll take him. Fake sources or not, I'll take him. So the player that Martin put in, that was the main player, is Firmino to Arsenal. Which, listen, this is why Firmino is a Liverpool player, ex-Liverpool player, and he wouldn't. You think he would join
Why
Arsenal?
not? That happened before many times. Many times.
Arsenal.
No. This season.
Yeah. You think he would join Arsenal knowing
Why
that they're
not?
right behind Liverpool, 7-point gap?
Well, let's not forget, Ian. Let's not forget how he left Liverpool. He kind of was pretty much told that he's not needed anymore. So it's not like he wanted to leave Liverpool. They just pretty much didn't want to.
I don't really remember that.
Yeah.
But he wrote like a love letter to the fans, like, you know, I think
he did, but they pretty much told him it's time to move on. You know, they didn't try to keep him for the rest of his life. Like, you know, it's been a business decision, and so it's business. And I think I don't think he's that, you know, like, listen, I remember players like Bernd Schuster, who used to play for Barcelona, then play for Real Madrid, or Figo and other players. Yeah, that happens, you know, that happens. Absolutely happens.
I don't think he wanted. Go ahead.
Like, Firmino's not a 9, really. Like, he played there for Liverpool, but he was a 10 who was just pushed up into a 9. Like, he would come deep. He wouldn't play as a 9. And Arsenal have got other players who can do that job for them. Like, if they, you know, that's what Mourinho was doing.
You know,
Mourinho was more of a 9 than any of their 9s have been.
You know what? Now that you said that, Lee,
I
believe the story. Arsenal will want it because they don't believe in 9s. You know what? You just made Martin's story legitimate. So as soon as Arteta's like, wait a minute, he's not a 9?
9.
Let's get him. Yeah, let's get him.
My new Havertz.
My new Havertz.
The kid on.
Yeah.
It's actually right now. I'm just checking the news. It's actually on the London Evening Standard, which is not a bad source. They're actually, but Menu apparently also wants him. Menu also wants him.
The London Evening Standard is the one that they hand out for free outside the tube stations here.
Hilarious.
So,
because the same thing happened to Neymar. Neymar just signed at Santos.
Martin just froze. Am I frozen or is it Martin?
I think it's Martin.
Is this Martin? All right.
He went quiet for me as well.
Yeah. Martin, you there?
Yeah.
Oh, you froze. So you were saying something about Santos? Who signed for Santos?
No, I'm saying it was the same situation with Neymar, also from the Saudi League, and he was out of contract. He was a free agent. He signed with Santos. He went back to Brazil.
But that was from a legitimate news source. It wasn't from.
I'm saying that already happened, you know. But this one is apparently, like, I'm looking right now at news sources. It's.
But you're getting your transfers from inside of a Snicker bar wrapper. Like,
no, it's London Evening. It's London Evening Standard. It's a newspaper. You know, it's a newspaper.
It's a newspaper. That's a great endorsement.
Even Martin has doubts about this one.
You know, it's also on some bunch of different Arsenal pages. So it's I mean, it's out there. It's out there. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun idea, you know, and I like when you put them in the chat because it's like you know, there's just some creative people out there. It's like if you could make a fictional sport non-fiction, those posts that these people create are bananas. I don't know if I said it the right way around. Fiction is real or non-fiction is real.
No, it's Premier League fanfic. That's what it is.
Fanfic. Yeah.
Premier League fan fiction. You know.
What do you guys think about Man City's display this weekend? And it's a real team they beat. Newcastle. It's not like it was some joke team, especially after getting beat in the middle of the week in Champions League by Real Madrid. How do you think about their performance? Does this make you believe in them a little bit? Is this like the turnaround, or it's just a game they won?
I think it's just a game they won. Go ahead.
Yeah, it makes me believe in them for next season. Because
it
they're
makes
not
me
doing shit
believe
this season.
It makes me believe in Mamush.
Yeah,
he gets a hat trick. Because if Man City scores 4 goals in a game, you got to be like, hey, one of those has got to be, or 2 of those got to be Haaland's. None of them was Haaland. Like, that's the first time he's probably ever played on a team and somebody scored a hat trick and it wasn't him. Like, he's run up to the goal scorer 3 times to congratulate them.
I'm devastated as well because I was hovering over the option of putting him in my fantasy team.
Oh,
but
shit.
then because I needed to replace a striker because I had Ange for Everton and then he's injured now. So I needed to replace him. And I was like, right, what are my options? And I saw Mamouche on there and I was like, he's not scored yet. And also it's Pep. And I never know who he's going to actually pick because he's got so many like different options, especially in attacking positions. So I was like, okay, I won't do it. And I went for Raul Jimenez, who got an assist for Fulham, but I mean, it's not a hat trick. So I was a little bit upset when I saw this because I was like, I gave it real consideration. And my brain taught me out of it.
Yeah, look, like nobody, Mamouche couldn't even have called this, you know? So it's just one of those. Let's get down. We're going to skip Bournemouth. We want to talk about what the hell is going on with Chelsea. You lost to a team that I do not like, to a coach that I do not like. I thought you were going to be better. Not only did you lose to them, this is the second time this week you lost to them. Like, what the hell's going on, Neil?
I think at this point, you should be really surprised if Chelsea gets something out of a game of football. So, yeah, 3-0 was a bit of a surprise, but the fact is that we can't score and we can't defend. So, you know, like, what are we going to do? Like, are we going to get lucky with an own goal and win? Like, that's what happened the last 2 games we've won. The deciding goal literally has been an own goal. So yeah, it's been it's been 2 months of really
You got
poor
52 goals. You got, is this who has, you got 47 goals.
Yeah, how many since December?
I don't know.
Not that many. I can look it up, but yeah, not that many. So I mean, the point is that
and you only have 13 against. Well, that's the goal difference.
What?
Well, you have
Yeah.
34 against. You do leak.
Yeah, we leak.
Yeah.
We leak a lot of goals. I mean, and we were leaking a lot of goals even when we were in that good run of form. Some people call us, title contenders, whatever, all that nonsense. So, what has changed is that the attack has also started, floundering. And I mean, it's not really that much of a surprise. We were a team that is like kind of, performing at our absolute maximum. So the fact that Jackson went off the boil and he's our main striker. Jackson's not that accomplished a striker. So the fact that he's having a lull in form isn't really that unexpected. The problem is we spent 1.6 billion and we don't have somebody we can like even Jackson when we bought him wasn't really a striker. He was like playing left wing and then played a few games as a striker for like half a season. So the fact that we didn't really build a team with the fundamentals, like, how good teams are built, that's what's really come to bite us right now. So I don't really like blame Maresca a lot. Some people are like, he should be making subs even earlier. I'm like, with who? Like, there's not a lot of options out there, and there have been games where he's made subs before. It hasn't really changed much, and we went through this entire January window knowing that we don't have a striker. We have Jackson, but he shouldn't really be the starting
is he
striker.
injured?
He's injured now for the rest of the season.
For the rest of the season?
Oh yeah, he's gone, and the backup guy, 18-year-old who nobody's heard of.
Guay?
He's also out for like a couple of weeks.
I believe in Guay, but he's like 2 seasons away. Like, I like how
he's 2 seasons away if everything goes great for him.
Yeah.
I think even that's a little bit of a stretch. Like, what do we even know about, somebody's only played academy football before this?
Will you respect? Go ahead, finish. I'll ask you a question.
And the goalkeeper situation, it's Sanchez was a calamity. So we got Henson on, and who I don't think is even that better. He's probably not as horrible in terms of like just making outright mistakes as Sanchez. So even that's not a great situation. We don't have a centre back who's a, you know, like even a team like Brighton, who for some reason we've tried to model a club on. It's the most bizarre decision ever. Try to model
A Champions League club tries to model himself.
Like when these owners took over, we were the current, then champions of Europe, and we soon became the champions of the world. And they decided, Brighton, that's what you're going to be. So, so I'm saying like even a club like Brighton, have senior people in their backline. Even that we've not executed well. So we keep making mistakes at the back, and we have midfielders who Caicedo, like if we think Jackson getting injured is a problem, I'm pretty ready for Caicedo to get injured anytime now, because he's literally have to do the job of two people, and he's playing every game. He gets absolutely no rest. And we're seeing Palmer having a little bit of a downturn in form, which again is not that much of a surprise. If you could be anybody. If you're in so much shit, you're gonna start stinking pretty much soon. So yeah, it's front to back, left to right, it's all bad. And yeah, I think it's finally reached a bit of a tipping point where a lot of fans are angry, and there's a protest planned the next time Chelsea have a home game, which I know Lee is gonna be at that game. So Lee,
Southampton
rocks for me, would you?
I
don't know what's the current protest culture in the UK.
I mean, just in time for you to fix this bad form, all the stuff you've got going wrong for you, we will help you out with that. Cole Palmer will be brought back to life in this game. Trust me.
Hilarious.
Like by all accounts, I should be taking him out of my fantasy football team, but I'm like, no, they've got Southampton coming up soon. He stays in because I know he's going to get some points that day. I don't know why I bought a ticket to this game. I don't know why I buy a ticket to any Southampton game anymore, but I'm at that one next Tuesday.
You get to see Cole Palmer shine. And it might be against your
team.
But
get there early. I think the stuff before the game is going to be more interesting than the stuff at the game.
You mean early, like the game against Tottenham when they scored 5 goals in 40 minutes? That early?
When Tottenham scored.
Okay. Who did you be 5-0, Martin? I can't remember.
Southampton.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Doesn't count.
In the first half.
It doesn't count when you're beating up on a championship team, Mark.
I need someone else to beat us 5-0 in the first half so we can get rid of another manager. So
oh damn.
Yeah,
You're done with him already?
Yeah.
Might be. Neil, I'll get to that game early. Tell me what you want written.
You could actually, now that I think of it, because I'm not really thought of, any thoughts of like having Maresca go. But now that I'm thinking of it, if by any chance Southampton pull off a win at home on the day the protests are planned, that could actually make things real difficult for Maresca.
But that will be a mistake. I mean, he's a good manager. What's like?
Yeah, I agree.
It's not his fault.
I mean, I agree. It's not his fault. But
bad owners love deflecting.
The owners are not going to sack themselves, right? So
yeah,
somebody.
Yeah, but
I feel the sporting directors are where the real problem is, and of course the owners too. But since we got to get rid of the owners, we need to get rid of the sporting directors and their stupid policy of like spending incessant amounts of money for absolute raw potential with no plan to go anywhere with it.
I got 2 questions for you. One is, now that your goals have dried up and Jackson ain't there, will this make you respect Jackson more? Because now you got no goals with him, you realize that, maybe he was better than I thought. So does that make you think that?
No, but I've always said Jackson's really good as like a, like almost like a B-side striker. He could be a good foil to somebody else. I don't think he should be the guy that you're trying to, at least not yet. At this age, I don't think he has the ball striking, and that's my only criticism of him. Almost everything else about him I really like. I like his hustle. I like his pressing from the front, which is, in the modern game is so essential. I like his link-up play. I like his passing. His ball striking is my real issue with him. And as a striker, that's a really big hole if that's not something that you have in your locker. So maybe he can improve on that. But my point is that right now we need somebody else, like maybe like an experienced head, like we had Giroud, who when Tammy Abraham was going through, he started off the season really great in the Lampard season, but hit a little bit of a rut. Giroud took over. So my point is, like, I'm not saying dump Jackson, get another young striker in, and that's going to be my guy. It could even be a solution, like get an experienced head in and let Jackson grow, in a more organic way.
Yeah, I think Jackson is definitely going to grow, is growing into it. And by the end of his career at Chelsea, I feel like you'll love him, unless you just want to stay in the same position, because that's the position you started with him at. The second.
No, I'm telling you, I really like I even if we go in for a new guy, I wouldn't want somebody who doesn't have the kind of things that Jackson provides, because I really value it. But my point is, there are certain non-negotiables when it comes to a striker position. Like, I can even see a world where we get a new striker and Jackson plays off him on the left and continues to be a mainstay in the team. But Palmer plays on the left, in the middle. Maybe that new new Willian guy coming in from Brazil plays on the right. So I'm not saying at all, and I don't think that'll happen, that Jackson's going to be completely out and doesn't have a future at Chelsea. He definitely has a future at Chelsea.
When do you get that new Brazilian guy?
Summer, yeah.
So and what's his position? Left or he's right?
Right wing, yeah.
Oh, so Sancho still has to look out, because they can put Neto on the left. Tweet Nash, Sancho, mind your business. Focus on what you got to do. Don't be like commenting.
We're gonna have the Freedom Derby coming up. Aston Villa playing Chelsea.
Hilarious. Hilarious. The
just
other
one more
question
thing as well. Just a quick one on that. Going back to the protest. I can get to the game early, Neil. So tell me what you want written on a placard, and I'll take it. And I'll just pretend.
Cool. I'll do that.
Give me your message, and I'll
do that. I'll do that.
How much you charge for that? You should protest for people. It should be.
I got some cardboard just laying around. We can write on there. We can figure it out.
I'll make it.
Do you want a nice classic like Bowley out, or do you want something more creative than that?
Nah.
What font?
Yeah.
We're
trying to make something that can get on TV.
Hilarious. That's going to be tough. The other question I want to ask you, so somebody was going over numbers about net spend, and one of the teams that came up like high marks was Chelsea, like with like just like how you guys have handled yourself financially in a positive way, compared to like United and other clubs. And then you mentioned the thing about like your club trying to be Brighton, but I just remember Chelsea always being good with their money, even under, that dictator's friend in Moscow, like always like good at loaning and renting and selling, and also being champions. So there is the joke of them trying to be more like Brighton. I feel like even United is doing that, but you guys have the blueprint for being Brighton and being Chelsea. How much has that changed?
So the difference is, now you recall, like I had criticisms of the way we dealt with money even under Abramovich, right? But that criticism was mine criticizing a 6 out of 10 operation. This is a 0 out of 10, or maybe even like -4 out of 10. Like, it's not even comparable at any level. So the problem right now is that, okay, you sold these players. First off, a lot of these players that we sold could have actually been more useful than the ones we bought in. So it wasn't even a great footballing decision. Like when we sold under Abramovich, we either made mistakes where we didn't give somebody enough time and sold him like, the classic De Bruyne, Salah, Lukaku first time, or we sold has-beens and got good money out of that. this time what's been happening is this whole thing about pure profit, where somehow the way the accounting works allows you to book a lot of 100% of the profit on any player who doesn't have a book value, and those turn out to be academy players, right? So my point is, you're doing all these selling, you're not actually buying well. I'll give you this. We don't even have to go far back. This summer window, we spent 250 million. There's probably one player out of that who's making the first 11 right now, and that's Neto. And he ain't even that good. So even like, forget about even like trying to judge or rate their seasons. The absolute facts say that there's only one player out of that 250 million spent who's made his way into Maresca's first 11. And you knew this is the manager that you're going to have. So it's
the worst thing
shit
you
over
do
shit
is
over shit over shit.
playing Cucurella. Cucurella should never be on the pitch in any games whatsoever. I mean, first of all,
For real?
his haircut is offensive. That shouldn't be on TV. It's just wrong. They should tell him to change his haircut. It's very distracting. It distracts people from watching games, and it's just it's so annoying.
Martin, you have hair. I can understand if I'm hating on the Cucurella's hair. Well, you got hair. What's your problem with Cucurella's hair, fam?
It's just distracting. It distracts people from watching football. That's what I think.
But you guys like pulling it, so you should.
We haven't done
thank
it.
him.
We haven't done it in a while, but we should.
A Tottenham player pulling Cucurella's hair was literally the turning point in this whole Todd Bowley clear leg.
I think there was a turning point.
That game, we should have won that game versus Tottenham. We wouldn't have been sixth on the table. We would have been top three at that point under Tuchel. And no matter what differences they had with Tuchel, it would have been untenable to sack a manager who's in the top.
Well, so you're making my point. If he didn't have long hair, they would have nothing to pull. And
No.
would be the manager of Chelsea.
No, I'm saying pulling Cucurella's hair should be the criminal activity, not him having the hair.
But
Hilarious.
it's a glass half empty, glass half full. If he didn't have long hair, they wouldn't pull it.
I guess it depends on who you are. I'm just looking at the table. Newcastle, so they took the L from Man City. We slide down. We pass Fulham, who beat Forest. Villa had a tie with Ipswich, right? And did you guys see any of Marcus Rashford's? I saw him play 20 minutes versus Villa in their first game. He was nutmegging people, and I saw him hit the post on a free kick for Villa this weekend. And then somebody converted that off the post, I think, to a goal. Is that what happened this weekend?
Yeah. He hit the woodwork, and then Watkins was there to put the rebound in. But yeah, Rashford, he was running, he was pressing, he was tackling, he was taking people on. He did not look like a guy who hadn't been training properly.
It's definitely very, very strange, and we'll get to United at some point once we get to the lower levels of the table. But
that's what we'll get to Tottenham too.
But yeah, first Everton, no, first Tottenham, then Everton. But pretty much all of our teams except of Chelsea are in the second half of the table. Chelsea getting there. Soon enough.
Nah, they're fine. They're six. We wish we were six. You get out of
it. They were just second, so they can be 11th soon.
But you knew they weren't gonna, stay second.
People were saying it's a legitimate race between Chelsea and Liverpool. Like
no, those were your news sources that you put in the chat. Those weren't like sane people.
Those were the Gary Nevilles and Roy Keanes of this world, but yeah, Jamie Carragher's of this world. But yeah, I mean, it's a problem because all of those Man U players, like Anthony, scoring at will at 3 man of the match awards.
We're not there yet. We're talking about Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and now it's another example.
There's 2 more teams to discuss before we even get to. Yeah.
No, but we spoke about Rashford.
So you want us to let's save the Rashford until we get to United. The only thing I want to ask one more question about Chelsea is Can I remember this question? Shit, it's gone that fast. All right, I guess I can't remember this question. Maybe it'll come back. So let's slide down. Tottenham, you won. You beat Man United. You got some players back. Your boy, what's his name, who scored the goal off the ricochet. He tried to Madison tried to get at Roy Keane through the camera as his goal celebration. I think he put something on TikTok too. How do you feel about that game? It's your team.
Well, I talked to a friend of mine who's a Man U fan, and we both agreed that our teams are just not very good. But I will make a couple of points. Some of them also based on what I've heard from some analysts, and I agree with one point. Although I'm gonna improve on that. Both managers are actually have the same style in terms of being stubborn. Both Ange has one way he wants to play, and that's it. And the same Amorim, he has one way he wants to play, no matter the personnel, no matter the circumstances. It's the one way we're playing, and he's going through the same thing that Ange went through. When people see what he's trying to do, and they know exactly what to do. And I think that's exactly what happened. The two managers were stubborn. Someone had to lose. I don't think it was a very good game. It just went Tottenham's way. Could have gone the other way. Could have been a draw. Two teams pretty much at very similar level, with injuries, not very well coached, not in a great point of the season. Somehow we won and beat United, I think, for the 3 out of 3 times this season, and 4 out of 4 with Manchester teams, because we also beat City. So we got 9 points out of Manchester teams in the league, which 9 points pretty much took us out of the relegation battle for the rest of the season. So I'm grateful that there is another team in the league that goes through the same motions and makes the same mistakes as we do, because that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like with Amorim that he's doing right now. He's doing NG 2.0 in his own way, but it's just not working, and it wasn't working for us. And when two teams with flaws meet, someone has to win, someone has to lose. In this case, it was United, but it could have gone either way.
I agree. It could have went either way, and I feel like who was the player of the match, Spence or Vicario?
I think Spence was player of the game, but I like Bergvall. I think Bergvall is the guy that I really like on this team.
I like him. I like all your young kids. Bergvall, and what's the other one?
Gray.
Like they're talented. So I told you a few weeks ago, like when Ange says we're in a better place than when he first got there, that's why I say you are, because Spence is just fearless on the ball. Like you press him, he's like, I'm going to figure a way out of this. I'm going to stay calm. I'm not going to panic. And then he gets out of impossible situation. He's Houdini on the left back, and he's really a right back. Like he'd make a great midfield. And then Bergvall is just like, you could just see the quality, and Gray's good too. And so when you get back the rest of your defense, I don't even know what they're going to do, because you got Undoggy, and then you got Romario, and what's the Van der Ven. So there's, you guys can mix and match and rest people, and maybe people won't be pulling their hamstrings and their calf muscles as much as they are now, that people will get some rest. So you'll definitely be more dangerous. But I feel like yesterday, just because we're talking about Spurs, let's just talk about United now. Just at least just this game. Like, I was like, all right, we finally get to train. And when we train, we play Spurs. Perfect. Day before the game, somebody puts a legit news source in DMs me a legit news source. It wasn't you.
I did.
It was Lloyd. It was Lloyd. And I was like, Ahmad is done for the season. I'm like, I mean, when it goes bad for United, it just goes bad, like on and off, just from everywhere. Like shit you think can't happen just happens. And then the next day, the day of the game, they say no Ugarte, no Mainu, and you count Mount on top of that, who you forget even exists as a Man United player, and you're like, you're gonna have to play Casemiro, who is as fast as a old crossing guard now. Like, he got no speed whatsoever. And it's just like, we could have won this. We almost won with nothing. And it's just, and I want to ask you a question. In the first half, you kind of dominated. In the second half, we kind of took over. Did Ange get more defensive and like stop being stubborn in the second half and try to hold on to that lead? Or was that us? I couldn't tell.
I mean, I think we just had more versatile players on the field that were able to do both to a degree. I don't see a major switch. I would have, technically we defended better. If you look at statistics, we defended better in the last 2 games. But is it a structural change, or is it's just what happened during the game? It's just the way the game went. I don't know it. I have to see a few more games to look at it as a potential change in a philosophy, or a willing to make adjustments. Because listen, if he's willing to make adjustments, great. Didn't show that for most of the season, and it's too early to judge. But what do you think about Amorim? And his lack of adjustments. What do you think about that? Because
he makes adjustments.
He's being called out
because they're trying to make the same argument. Like, it's the media. They're just looking for stories. They're looking for trouble. They're searching through their girlfriend's DMs for messages from boys that ain't in there from boys. So they're like, they're always gonna look for trouble, and they're gonna make it if they don't find it. Like, they said he has to change his formation. Well, he played 5 at the back yesterday. Did you feel better? They said he doesn't change his formation. If that game was 5 at the back, not 3-4-3, it's 5 at the back. So you want somebody to make an adjustment and not be stubborn? That was clear. I don't know if people can count defenders, but I counted 5 at the back. And it's a numbered system, but it can play many systems. I've said this before. Like, why are they tripping over that? There's plenty of teams in the league that play 3-4-3 that are successful. And I know their argument is like personnel, but the coach before with the same players played 4 at the back, and he got fired for this coach. So what are we doing here? Let's just let the players get used to the system. Our actual, and I said this weeks ago, I said, yeah, we get to do our preseason in the middle of the season. And that's what's happening. And that's what's happening.
I liked Dorgu in this game. Like, there was some signs. Like, I'm not saying he had an amazing game,
right?
But like, I could see him moving off the ball and doing certain things that were like, oh yeah, he's a player. Like, once he gets up to speed, once there's better players built around him as well in the system. Like, he looks like he is a good signing for what Amorim wants to do. It's just, yeah, he's coming at a bad time when, everyone's still a little bit all over the place.
I saw it too. I was like, oh, there he goes. You could see him confident, and you could see the fearlessness in comparison to the other players. You could see like his fearlessness coming through. He's like, all right, the more he plays, the more, hopefully, the less fearless he becomes. And Xerxes in this game, like, I don't know who the fuck that guy was. He nutmegged 4 players at 4 different times, and he was doing shit that is like, oh, that's what they paid for. And it's just taken time to come out. But I thought what he did, like, that's the only thing that gave me like happiness. Like, can this player keep doing it? It's like he was doing it. It's just great to see what he was doing. Like, but again, he's doing it now. There's no Ahmad to back him up. There's no Mainu to back him up. There's no Ugarte to back him up. It's like the only hope you have as a United player on any team in our position is like hope for players that are injured to come and join the players like Dogru and Xerxes Yesterday, who shined, to play together later on in the season or next season. And the only other hope that I have is I think about Crystal Palace's coach last season when he joined. It was rough in the beginning, but towards the end of the season, they killed us and they had a good run. So I'm like, and he came in the middle of the season for Crystal Palace too. So I'm like, I'm dumb. I'm stupid. I'm like, there's still hope for us. We can have a good run at the end of the season. And so that's where I'm at. And I know you wanted to talk about the other players shining that left Man United. So go ahead, Martin.
Well, it's a long list. First is the mighty
Jesus Christ,
the mighty Anthony, who is probably arguably the best player of the month in Europe right now. He's just absolutely amazing for Betis.
Over Mamouche, over
Mamouche.
Mourinho,
Over Mamouche.
As per the London Evening Standard.
Listen, you have to have standards, I guess. No, I like it's something is puzzling about what's going on. Like every player almost that leaves United immediately starts playing
Not
well
almost.
for another team.
Not
Almost all of them.
No, all of them. All of them.
All of them.
All of them.
No, except of Sancho. I don't think Sancho is playing well, right?
He did at first, but I don't think he's balling.
What do you think about him taking digs at United all the time? That also shows you that there's something wrong. If players feel that much he had so many hard feelings for United. It's clear, So there has to be something wrong, There has to be something wrong that those players are not. Because when I watched the game, the one thing that stood out for me, and I actually watched a couple of Man U games, it seems like the team is not really trying hard enough. It seems like they're not playing hard, and that's the problem, if your players are not playing hard.
Yeah, what do you guys think it could be? Like, as like I look at Everton, right? And I saw them play Liverpool. I saw them play Crystal Palace, and then some of the games under Moyes, and even under Dyche, even though they couldn't score, like Everton would never let not having a forward stop everybody else from playing hard, and but I have to ignore the anger that I feel at Sancho taking shots at us. If you want to fix this problem, it's like, why did he tweet that? And what else is there is definitely not, besides everything universally just falling apart, there's something like, I don't know, maybe Harry Potter needs to go in there and like remove a spell or something, man. There's something really wrong going at New United that nobody can put their finger on, fam. Like, anybody have any ideas, man?
I think you sold your soul to the devil multiple times over during the Ferguson era. And this is a whole bunch of bad karma coming round. All those injury time winning goals in Fergie time. There was a big bill running up with the devil. He's on your badge.
Bro,
and
like and I've thought about that too. I feel like that's more scientific and more believable than any other thing I can come up with. I'm not even bullshitting you, bro.
Maybe you need an exorcism. Take the devil off the badge as well. You need a full. You've tried everything else at that club at the moment, so
maybe Ferguson
was there for what, like 25 years? This is going to take that much.
Yeah. Maybe Ferguson needs to bring Amarin into his spell room and say, hey, this is the special room only reserved for coaches that will live forever on earth, but burn in hell. And cut the palm of your hand and pour the blood into this thing and let me light it on fire. And let's start winning, baby.
Have you thought about, has Man U thought about hiring David Moyes? Have they?
Hilarious. office. Now we thought about firing him.
Let's go around now.
Yeah.
They bring him back.
Let's start over. Yeah.
Yeah, if he does good at Everton, yeah, we'll hire him. So keep up the good work there.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think we hear this all the time about Man United players are not motivated because they're heavily paid, overpaid. I don't know if that's true or not. I would think any good coach and any motivated player would draw that out of them. I reading somewhere today about Garnacho. He's only 20.
Mm-hmm.
And a 20-year-old, I will say he had an opportunity on Saturday or Sunday that was a must score opportunity. Like he mucked it. And like, who am I to say I could do better? But I mean,
I think you could.
Yeah, it was crazy to see him miss that shot. So, but I don't know. I mean, I just feel like, but also like he's 20. Like he's 20. And they're still considered, based on playing time, to not be that heavily in the Premier League. I mean, he's been there, but for 3 years. But I don't know. It just seems like young motivation. Well, a lot to fix there.
Yeah, I also think if you look, at the roster of Man U, like they had this discussion, like whom would I take to Tottenham, which is not one of the better teams in England right now, and I probably would have taken only Fernandes to the starting lineup of my team from the current Man U team. I think the recruitment, it's not per se bad recruitment, like in totality of it. It's just very random. There doesn't seem to be any philosophy, who Man U is buying for the last. It's a lot of turnaround. It's buying, letting go, buying, letting go, loaning, bringing back on loan and loaning off. There's just no philosophy. Like when Fergie built the great Man U, they built based on young players from the academy, and then they added Cantona and bunch, couple of veterans. Like I think Keane and Cantona were the veterans, but there was a philosophy of building a team. Right now, I feel like, and it's the same with Chelsea to a degree. I feel like, and City has a philosophy of building a team. I think Arsenal, even with their flaws, have a philosophy of building a team. Bournemouth, they have a philosophy of building a team. Everton, they have a philosophy of building a team.
Everton has a thing of selling a team. Like,
yeah, but because they're a selling team, but they have some sort of philosophy. They like the more defensive style of play. I feel it's just so many random choices. It's hard to tell what Man U is trying to do. Like why you're getting, 3 left midfielders, in 1 year, or like what, or 5 center backs. It's like
we didn't do that.
Oh, like 4. You got like 4 defenders in a year, and you keep changing, especially fullbacks. You got a lot of fullbacks, in the last couple of years. I feel like
we only got Maserati. We got
one Bissaka first was like 3 years ago. Then
more than that,
or like 4.
Yeah, but we needed defenders then. That we didn't have those defenders. Those defenders: Lindelof, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, and Dalot, and what's his name?
Martinez,
the one who's injured. He's been there for a minute. The Luke Shaw was there for a minute, and then Luke Shaw been there for like 5 managers.
Yeah, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's obvious, of course, details are details, but it seems like it's a very random recruitment. There's
a lot of people trashing our recruitment, right? Mm-hmm. But when the players leave, and I agree with you, all of them have been shining. Even Rashford had more. What did they call that stat? I think somebody put that in the chat, and Lloyd sent it to me too. More. What do they call it? Actions.
Goal creating actions, shot creating actions.
Shot creating actions in a half than all the players that were on the field for both teams before him. So I don't know, bro. This is something close to what Lee said and other shit. Like, it's crazy. Like Anthony, I watched the Bettis highlights. He scored, and then we shouldn't even have loaned him out, because now we don't have a mod. But and I'm not even saying that in hindsight. It's like, do the math. Why would you loan Anthony out knowing that we're low on players in that position, and any injury, even for like a week or two, just really will, I know he's not that great, but he's actually been a little bit better coming off the bench. So I don't even understand getting rid of Rashford. I understand, but like just the bad mathematics of like, let's loan out every other offensive person we have except for the ones that fit in the starting 11, and then we'll just have a bunch of kids from the academy that we won't play.
But even the kids that you actually had that were promising kids, like Elanga is doing great at Nottingham.
Yeah, I agree with you. I didn't want to sell Elanga.
I think these are all connected problems. Like, I don't think it's anything in isolation. Like, the constant changing of managers, the constant change in direction of how the recruitment's gonna work. The clubs nowadays, like the kind of clubs that United is going up against, the kind of clubs that Chelsea is going up against, like a lot of clubs in the Premier League now have money. So even a club like with who traditionally probably were fighting for the mid-table places, they have the money, and if they are executing their operations, putting their brains together better than the other clubs, they can actually go ahead of the clubs that were ahead of them. So I think, and then when these things are not in place, the environment, the culture at these clubs also start to rot. And that, I think that's happened at United. I'm seeing it happen at Chelsea. It's tough for players, no matter how good you are. Like, how often do we see players, doing well in clubs where the vibe is not good? It doesn't happen a lot. So you need you need a lot of these things to come together, which City's always had that even before Pep, I feel. Credit to Arteta, he's managed to create that at Arsenal. So that just gives you that extra 20% that you need for say an average player to operate at a high above average level. And that just completely changes the whole complexion of a team's fortunes, because that keeps happening throughout the squad, right? I think the simple answer to why United players look better when they go outside is just that when RVP came to United, I mean, of course, the injuries helped, but he was in a better team, in a team that is going for higher aspirations, and that can totally lift your performance levels. So yeah, the way out of this is to maybe stick to Amorim and give him in the summer, get rid of the players he doesn't want, and give him the players that he wants, but also like not like give him 100% check on that too, because maybe like have a balanced approach. Like, hey, if there's a promising youngster, like I don't know why they were trying to get rid of Garnacho, because I really like Garnacho, and he's only 20.
I know you almost bought him this week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't understand why we were trying to buy him, because we have like a million wingers.
You're Chelsea, that's what you do.
Yeah, but I feel like for United, Garnacho can actually, like, my point is like he's an academy guy, right? Like, who is he hurting? If you don't think he's fitted good enough to be the starting winger, have him be the
it's not his fault. You said have, like you said, if you don't think he should be the starting winger, like have him come off. Now there's nobody. He has to start. He's a senior player now. He's 20. Right. He's a senior player on our team. There's no
that's crazy.
Else. That's crazy, bro.
Yeah. So we're having something similar with Levi Colwill in the back. His confidence is absolutely shot. This is the guy who, like, half a year or like a year ago was, a lot of clubs were going in for him, got the England call-up. But his confidence right now is absolutely shot. And he's like second guessing himself and making some really basic mistakes. So yeah, these things matter. You need leaders in the team, and you need a good culture which yeah, maybe Amran is the guy to set it up, but yeah, he needs time, obviously.
I agree with you. I'm not. That's why a lot of United fans are not trying to say fire the coach. We're very disappointed and frustrated with these lack of results, but everybody knows you can't just keep changing coaches. He has a good pedigree. We got rid of Ted Hag. We're not getting rid of Amran, and we have to ride this till the end of the season with 2 flats.
Are you, if you don't mind my asking, Ian, are you regretting in any way the managerial switch, or are you just thinking, forget it? Like, let's
I always liked Ten Hag. I always said we shouldn't have fired him.
Yeah.
And now is the only time I can say that in public because he had more points. And you can be like, oh, it's not maybe. And now I'm starting to hear people in the media go, maybe it wasn't him. And it's like another thing that pisses me off is last year I would talk about the injuries. The media refused to talk about United's injuries. Now they're talking about Spurs injuries. That comes up all the time. And now they're talking about Arsenal have 1 injury. They'll make it like it's 10 injuries. This squad is decimated. And it's like we just lost Lisandro Martinez for the season. And then in training, in the same week, we lose Ahmad. Then Mason Mount came in for Luke. He came in. He played once for Ten Hag and once for Amarin, and he's out. Then who else? It's so comical. It's somebody else. Luke Shaw comes back to training. He gets hurt in training. He's back out of training. It's bananas.
I saw someone point out that currently Mikel Antonio is set to come back from his car crash quicker than Luke Shaw is for United, which is bananas. And you were talking about you should have kept Ten Hag as well. I'll tell you who you should have kept and who you should have listened to is Ralph Rangnick.
I agree with you.
That guy knows ball, and he pointed out a bunch of problems, and then he just got shown the door.
You know what the irony of that statement that I agree with you? The irony is that's on Ten Hag because Ten Hag didn't want to keep him. They said, hey, he'll help you build a team. Ten Hag's like, no, I want to do it myself. You know, and now another irony is Amarin, should he have kept Rude? You know what I'm saying? Like you're talking about 2 successive coaches in a position where they could have had somebody from the administration before them like help them out. They both turned it down. And we see what happened to one.
I think Rude's a bit different because he was very clear about wanting to be a manager, whereas Rangnick has worked as a sporting director and he's worked in that role higher up to know how to do it without sort of conflicting with the manager. So I think that would have been more suitable than having Rude as an assistant, especially when Amarim is so set on the way he wants to play. I mean, it can't have gone any worse than it has been right now, though. So
yeah. I don't disagree with you. It is different, but it's just the irony, you know. Sorry, Chris. We were supposed to talk about Everton before we talk about United because crazily it's towards the end of the season and Everton is above United in the table. This is bananas.
And who are they playing next?
Man U.
Shit.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid, bro. I thought you guys were going to have an emotional breakdown against Crystal Palace. Not because you can't beat Crystal Palace, because tying last minute with a worldie versus Liverpool midweek, like last Merseyside derby, as we said, at Goodison Park. I was like, that's going to take everything out of them. I'm just going to give Crystal Palace this right. Then you beat Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
They ain't slouches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And then, so how do you feel about that? And how much you think you're going to beat us by next week?
Well, we went into some room with like Sir Alex Ferguson. We cut his hand and we drew blood.
That's what Moyes did. Moyes went to the room
on his way out. Yeah, on his way out of Man U, he got the blood.
Can't wait to see the devil patches on your uniform next week.
Yeah, no, it's insane. Did anyone see that Derby game? And I was at a pub screaming my ass off. It was like I don't know if you guys know this, but in the Liverpool Everton derby, like each team had 41 wins going into that derby.
Mhm.
So like when we were down 2-1, I was like, it's just fitting. They're gonna win. It's gonna be a forever statement. Liverpool will always be better than Everton and have more hardware and more trophies and just be the better Liverpool club. So
That part is still true.
yeah. Shut up, Ian.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
God damn it. But anyway, we
You're such an
Jordan,
Everton fan. Your trophy is that your record at Goodison Park versus Liverpool is that you tied. You ain't got no trophies to show. It's can you put those numbers in your trophy cabinet as a statement of success?
Right. Yeah, we're 500 at home versus Liverpool, and everyone's like, oh, yeah.
That's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, that's why when we tied, when our Tarkovsky had that goal in overtime, we celebrated like we won, because to us, a Liverpool draws a loss, but an Everton draws a win.
Hilarious.
I think it's more the circumstances, though, isn't it? Like the way it happened as well. And I feel I read that there were some Everton fans who left before the final whistle. I don't know if it's just because they didn't want to see like Liverpool celebrate a win in the final Goodison derby, but why would you leave, man? Like you missed out on, because I mean, I've seen people online mocking Everton fans for the way they celebrated, and I'm like, no, like you don't understand sport if you're making those comments, because that's an injury time equalizer against your local rivals in the last derby at that stadium. Like you wouldn't just politely clap that. You're going to go crazy. That's why we follow this game, is for moments like that. And if you can't celebrate that, I'm not about people policing celebrations like that. I mean, there are some situations where I find it a bit odd if people, celebrate, but I mean, that was fully warranted in that situation. I think it's just a bit of saltiness why anyone would criticize that, because that's such a good moment. Even as a neutral, I was, it gave me goosebumps. So
I got goosebumps from you just describing it. Like that shit was English football. You know what I mean? Like tribalism, a derby, and there are moments, even if your team ain't that great, that will make you feel good for the season. It's like when Spurs plays Arsenal, when Manchester United plays
not recently, no.
United, or not recent. Well, for you guys. But when we beat Liverpool or we beat Man City, like there's moments that carry you further than all your losses, even if your losses outweigh your wins. So that's
yeah. But I also think it was the fact that since they hired Moyes, that they built a certain style of play, and there's a certain philosophy, and he is pretty straightforward with how he wants to play, and the players bought into it, and that's what's missing at Chelsea, at Man U, and partially I think at Spurs too. Although it's a different problem at Spurs, I think, but that's the problem that we had, that Man U have, and Everton doesn't have. That it's a clear message of who we are, what you want to do. And I think that's why Everton, I would say they're favorites in the next game against Man U. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna kind of disagree with you. You know what the difference is between Man United and Everton? When we have injuries, it hurts us. When they have injuries, it helps them. Like, what's his name? Calvin Lewin gets injured. They're forced to play better. He scored 3 goals.
Yeah,
in how many games?
Much,
and it's like
4 goals in 3 games or something.
Yeah,
I think he scored like 4 or 5.
And even if he doesn't score, he's a threat, and the whole team is thriving. It's like they're not like we lost our 9, So when we get injured, we get injured. When Everton gets injured and they add a Moyes, they win. I also think Everton is going longer, faster, but it's not just a route one; it's to a guy. It's to a player. It's into a patch of the pitch where the defender has to challenge that player for the ball, So they're not just like, so there's less jeopardy in the back. And you guys always fought all over the pitch and dueled anyway, you know?
Yeah, it does beg a question. What is Moyes doing? Do you know what I'm like? What is it about David Moyes? How does he get such fealty from his players? Like, I don't know. I really
how is he getting water from a dry ass well? Because Dyche was like scraping that bucket down there for weeks, come up empty, no water, dry, dirt in it, and then he puts it down there one time. Hey, you got a full bucket of water. Like, that's crazy.
It doesn't help that Sean Dyche in his interviews was like, "These guys are shit. I don't know what to do with shit." I mean, it doesn't help that he kind of was flat out saying like, "Look, I'm doing everything I can with this dog shit," you know. And everyone's like,
the crazy thing
Dyche,
is,
you're on mic
as well. It's like Moyes isn't even like a huge departure from
the
football Dyche was playing. He's just doing it more effectively.
Yeah. Well, I would slightly disagree with that. And like, we're no longer just punting and giving the ball away and playing 50-50 balls in their half. Like, we're trying to actually bring the ball upfield. We're trying to get like a long ball to Beto's feet that is not totally aerial and maybe a little bit more on the ground. Like, there's some creativity. You mentioned Ange earlier, Lee. Like, he's a huge part of our offense. Like, you know, like actually try, like, there's been some creativity other than like, you know, punting it like you're in the NFL. You know?
That Ange injury, though, the way he accidentally like hurt himself, that it wasn't a foul, right? Did they call a foul? That was not a foul.
No, he like punted the ground. He like kicked.
Yeah, he kicked the dirt. Yeah, the grass should have got a red for that challenge.
Yeah. And then they would have played on AstroTurf or something, you know.
Yeah.
But no, killer derby, killer. Like, that was the best, you know.
Yeah, you've had a good week, and you're gonna have a great weekend. Congratulations on the 3 points. And
No way, man.
What do you guys think? Who's gonna win in this podcast derby? Man United or Everton? What y'all got? Who y'all got in this?
Ian, before that, I got a bounce.
That's a very diplomatic answer, but you're not. First, you're gonna. I have to say.
Yeah, you have
before
to say
you
first.
do.
No, I got a bounce, and I feel Everton's got this. The Moyes derby. Yeah.
I don't know. Thank you, Neil. Thanks for saying that.
Thanks, Neil.
Thank you.
Later, Neil.
See you guys.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's not forget where it all went wrong for David Moyes, because he was one of the most respected managers in the English football. He was very, very highly respected at his first stint with Everton, and then he made a mistake of following Sir Alex Ferguson. That was a clear mistake. He probably thought a little bit too confident about the task. It was an impossible task. Whoever that would be would have failed. Whoever that would be. You can look even back at that Man U team that Moyes managed, compare it to the Ten Hag's and Amorim's, and you could make a case that he was actually a better manager at Man U than both of them. But his reputation took a huge hit, and it took him a decade to recover from it. He became a journeyman manager. He was at a couple of different teams. He did better here, worse there, but he wasn't the same guy as he was before taking the Man U job. And now he has a chance to kind of go back to where he was 12 years ago. And I feel like for him, it's a kind of emotional game, because that's going to be his first game back at Everton against Man U, at a team that kind
of... Is it?
Yeah, against Man U.
Didn't he have a second stint?
Yeah, he did.
At Everton that he got fired from?
Well, no, first stint at Everton, then West Ham, and now back to Everton. So this is his second go around with Everton. So.
But he went back to Everton one time and did bad and got fired. No, okay.
No, he was just there for a long time.
Oh, okay.
First time.
He was at West Ham and somewhere else. What other team?
I know he was in Spain too.
He went to Southampton by Ferguson, so it wasn't just his aspirations, which I'm sure, right? I mean,
Ferguson handed him the keys to a car that had no oil in it, a lot of miles, and said, "Drive it like how I used to drive it. No gas in that." Yeah. And you know,
impossible job. It's like I'll give you another example. You know, And it almost the same thing happened to David Moyes. I remember when, because I was already working in sports media as a teenager. I was 19 at the time, I think. When Chicago Bulls finished their dynasty, winning 6 titles in 8 years, and Phil Jackson was replaced by a young, promising, very highly rated college manager named Tim Floyd from Iowa. So Tim Floyd took the job from Phil Jackson. There was no Michael Jordan, no Scottie Pippen, no Dennis Rodman, and they were bad. But that looked bad. He looked bad, and he never worked again in the NBA after that. So you have to be careful what kind of jobs you take. If you take jobs, whoever takes the job after Guardiola at City, that's a difficult one. That's a tough one. And so props for the Liverpool.
It's a difficult job right now.
Yeah. But so props for the Liverpool guy. He was able to handle it, so far. So that's huge props for him. But because usually it doesn't work that way. Usually the team takes a dip after they part ways with iconic manager.
There are Liverpool. We're gonna get to Southampton. I'll just make one comment. I'm sorry, Lee. The one thing that Slot got handed was the key to a perfectly kept car. And there's 2 other teams in world football that have jobs like that. One is PSG, because normally when somebody takes over from PSG, it's not because they didn't do bad in the league, it's because they didn't win the Champions League. So, and then the same thing with Bayern Munich. Like, you're never being really handed a shitty Bayern Munich.
I mean, Real Madrid, the same. You can make a case. Real Madrid is the same.
Yeah, and Real Madrid, the same, kind of, yeah. But, there's some jobs, it's like, if you're a good coach, you go there, you should do fine.
Juventus,
it's just that they want to win even more. The team's in a good place, and that's why you get hired. So Slot got the PSG of the PSG job, but in the English version of it. Now let's talk about Southampton, the only team that's lower than Spurs, Everton, and Man United. The only team that makes us feel, like we have a chance to not get relegated or finish 20th. What the Southampton? Did I even check your score this weekend? I think I did. You lost 1-0 or something?
No, we lost 3-1.
3-1. Oh, sorry. My bad.
Home to Bournemouth, which isn't a disgrace right now.
Good team.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, you can just assume we lost most weeks, and it's it's kind of a weird game because we were 2-0 down by sort of half time, not really offering much. Second half, we picked it up a little bit. We pulled one back, right? We pulled it to 2-1 with like sort of 15 minutes or so left. And I was like, okay, maybe
to give you hope.
Yeah, maybe we could push for an equalizer. And then they went and scored a third, and it was done. I think it's just looking in a bit of a tough position right now. And yeah, I mean, since the new manager come in, he's only won 1 game, which was Ipswich in the previous round of Premier League fixtures, which again, we weren't great in that game, and we were fortunate to score late on and win that one. So
how many games did the previous guy won?
1 as well. They've won 1 each.
Jesus Christ.
They've won 1 each. So yeah, it's looking rough out there.
How did Onacho do this game?
He got an assist. He set up the goal. He set up Kamaldeen Sulemana for the 1 goal we scored.
Did he look good?
Yeah, he's always a handful. He's always causing problems, and yeah, I still like him in the team. I mean, let's see if he can. We've got a tough couple of games coming. We've got Chelsea. We've got Brighton first, at the weekend, then Chelsea on the Tuesday next week. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, we need 1 more win to avoid the lowest ever points total, or 3 draws. 3 draws or 1 more win to avoid the lowest ever points total.
That's bananas. So that's your goal for the season.
That's all I want. That's all I want.
Have the lowest Premier League score in history. Yeah. Like, that's your win. Damn.
Yeah, it's like we've already got the biggest defeats in Premier League history with the 9-0s. I mean, there's a couple of clubs that level with us on that as well.
Those teams didn't get relegated. That's
Well,
the
they did,
irony.
some of them.
Not that season, not the season of the 9.
I think
right?
Ipswich did when United beat them 9-0 back in the day. That was
But
like in
what
the
about when
90s.
you guys got beat 9-0? Yeah, so that's
Oh
what I'm
no,
saying.
we stayed up that season, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still not a nice record to have, being one of the biggest, heaviest Premier League defeats. But yeah, I think we've won something like 2 in our last, I can't remember in our last 49 Premier League games, or something crazy. But yeah, it's just a horrible stat. Like we're just incredibly bad.
What's the main thing? Is it everything? Too much to name, or like what's the main?
Just lots of bad business, lots and lots of bad business. In terms of players, and there's some decisions I don't know, like what's gone on behind the scenes as well, because like we're playing with a back 3 right now and wing backs, and in that back 3 we keep playing a fullback, James Bree. He's a right back, but he plays in the back 3. He doesn't do a bad job, but he's played most of his career in the Championship. Premier League looks a little bit out of his depth. On the bench we have Armel Bella-Kotchap, who was fantastic for us.
I like him.
Before he got injured in our relegation season. He was in the German national team. Like he made the German national team and was getting in the squads quite regularly before he got injured. Obviously, we get relegated. He goes on loan out to PSV, but he's playing for PSV in Holland, like one of the top teams. He's a little bit injury prone, but he's been back with us this season. He's played like 1 Carabao Cup game. He's been playing like and training and that, and sort of he's there on the bench every week at the moment. And I'm like, we have a guy who's still in his early 20s, who was capable of getting in the German national squad, and we're just not playing him.
Damn.
Like he's good on the ball. He's a monster physically, and I'm like, why are we not playing this guy? Even like if the club don't like him, even if he's done something to piss somebody off, it means we will need to sell him at some point. Play him, get the value up. We've got nothing to lose at this point in the season. We've got an asset that is just going down and down and down in value. So that one doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what he said to the coach about his wife. You have to get past that coach and play him. You know what I mean?
Well, it could have been a compliment.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he kept him, you know?
Yeah, maybe he complimented the coach's wife too hard.
Yeah. But it's weird that he's in the squad every week at the moment. He's on the bench and he never comes on. It's like, surely if he's done something so bad, he should be completely shunned. And you wouldn't even want him part of the dressing room if he'd done something like Rashford, like with Rashford at United. I mean, I don't know, whether that's right or wrong, but Amorim was like, right, this is my stance. He's completely out. He's not like in this sort of half and half, like limbo kind of position where, yeah, like I say, so it's weird to see him part of every match day squad sitting there on the bench, and then we're not playing him when he's probably better than all of the centre backs we have out.
Are you guys?
Club.
Do you think he's like a POV passenger dummy? Like, you know how we had to put like the bunch of kids on the bench just to fill out the numbers, you know, and you're like he can't play, but could you just dress? Because we don't really have options for the bench. So please dress.
No, we've got like other players who could take that slot if they're definitely not going to play him. We've got like France's under-19 captain, who's a centre back in our.
Oh, so you just
right now.
Maybe your team just hates successful international players. You play for France? No. You play for Germany? No, you can't play for us.
Yeah, we want players who were mediocre in the Championship to come and start these games. So yeah, it's a weird situation. But yeah,
Lee, if I could ask, like, what does a team that knows it's sort of bound for, like, do you know the you know?
This is a really cocky question. This ain't a question. This ain't a question.
He's definitely feeling better about himself now, right?
Yeah, he wasn't asking these type of questions when Sean Dyche was the coach. You know, and he knew what a team like that feels like 4 weeks ago. But now you're like, what does that feel like, Lee?
I feel like royalty. Like I should have like a
Yeah.
like yeah, Lee, tell us.
It's like me 2 weeks ago, It's
What is
like,
it? What is it?
tell
What
us,
does
Lee.
it? What does it feel like being a peasant, Lee?
Yeah.
Well, Chris can ask that because no matter how bad Everton ever get, they always seem to avoid relegation.
Yeah,
They've
they
never
do.
done it. They've been top flight the whole time,
Right.
even in their worst, most lousy seasons.
Mhm.
And I've just been waiting for
And
them to drop
deductions
one
and
year.
stuff, yeah.
Sometimes, yeah, we like to save our goal for the last half of the last game of the season just to stay up, but we get the goal.
That's Everton's trophy.
Yeah.
Never going down and tying all time at Goodison Park with Liverpool. That's Everton's trophy. But please answer the question.
What was the question?
Well, the question is like, you're going down. Like if you sell all your players off, you don't want to then go all the way to the bottom of like, championship, right? Like you're kind of in between a rock and a hard place.
Pretty much you're trying to tell don't become Sunderland.
But what I would say is we'll need to sell players because there's players that won't want to stay, and that's out of our hands. And their agents will be shopping them around, and we need that money to rebuild. Because last time we got relegated, we sold Lavia, we sold Salisu, we sold Livramento, we sold Ward-Prowse, and we rebuilt the squad with that, and we came back up. So we've got a new sporting director now. He came in after the window had closed, which is a great time to bring in
hilarious
a new sporting director. Although there were visa issues, to be fair. He's German, and Brexit and everything makes it harder to get these things approved.
Very true.
So he came in like first week of Feb, which was perfect. But I'm hopeful that if we can generate some money through sales in the summer, which I'm sure we will, that we'll have someone smart leading that process. The fact that we got a German sporting director who's been part of, the Red Bull projects and things before, I'm hoping that means that we won't stick with Juric beyond this season, because I've not really seen enough from. He talked a good game, but the results have still been poor. And I'm hoping we can go and get Danny Roll from Sheffield Wednesday, who is a young German coach who's been part of the Red Bull setup before as well. I feel like there'd just be a more of a synergy between the sporting director and the manager, and knowing which kind of players we need to sign for that system. If we went that route, and I think that could be the best way, because we got to think about the rebuild already, because this season we're just I've said it for months now, we've been cooked. So we got to just, like I say, avoid that minimum points record and then think about who's going to be here next season, who's not, how much can we get for people. Like I say, and if we've got a player that's good enough for the German national team on our bench, we need to start playing him, get his value back up.
Hilarious. You know what? Now we can all root for you in something, and that's for the points total. Like not breaking. Whose record was that?
It was
Derby's record.
I remember that season.
Yeah, and I've got a couple of tickets to games coming up, so I'm going to obviously Chelsea next week. That's away. I'm not expecting anything from that game. And then my other ticket is Liverpool away at Anfield at the start of March 8th. I've never been to Anfield before. I'll go see it.
It's amazing. I've been actually at Anfield. I've been there for Champions League games when the season they won the Champions League under Benitez.
Yeah.
It was incredible. I went to a game they play, I think Arsenal. That was the number one team in the league. It was an incredible game. Thierry Henry played for Arsenal. Yeah, absolutely. That was a great experience. It's electric. The atmosphere at Anfield is incredible because it's not that big of a stadium.
Oh yeah, how many people does it hold?
It's been extended a few times since that season though.
So maybe, yeah.
I think it's like pushing 70,000 now.
Oh, okay. At this time, I think it was only like 35.
It was like 35, 40 around that sort of time. Yeah, they've rebuilt it, but I mean, I hope the atmosphere is terrible when I'm there, because we've gone and pulled off the most crazy of upsets and kept the title race alive as well.
I remember.
That's wishful thinking.
I remember one thing, from that, because I used to go to the games like in 2003, 2004. They would send me over there, and I remember I went to Highbury. So I went to Anfield, amazing atmosphere. My favorite atmosphere was at Newcastle. The whole stadium was really supporting the team, and Alan Shearer and Michael Owen were playing for Newcastle at the time. but the support, the level of support in Newcastle for Newcastle was pretty incredible. And I think Arsenal was kind of disappointing for me because I was sitting behind the press row was a row like of an older gentleman, and that was the time when I think Arsenal didn't lose a single game in the season, and Thierry Henry was arguably the best player in the world for a couple of months, and there were those two older guys like from the
Couple of
Muppets
months.
show. Yeah, there were two guys from like they looked like the characters from the Muppet show. They were saying ridiculous things throughout the game, like Henry would miss a chance, and they would be like, he's probably the worst player that ever played for our team. Like they were hating on everything throughout.
Let me ask. So Lee, you had a rough and a few rough weeks, or maybe a rough season.
That's an understatement.
Yeah. But you had an exciting weekend. So tell the podcasters your crazy comedy football schedule. Like you made a video about it. I was like, God damn, like what? Listen to what Lee did this weekend.
Yeah, so I had a pretty packed Saturday. So yeah, I got up early. I went for a quick coffee date in the morning in London, coffee and a stroll. Which dating as a comedian is I'm sure you know it's pretty brutal. Where it's like, oh, when can I see you? And it's like, here are some very vague times and dates when I might be available.
Hilarious.
So
But
yeah,
was
did
fair
that.
or
And
late?
what was that? Those two questions.
Is there gonna be a second date?
I don't know. It was very pleasant, but yeah, I'm not sure.
She's watching. She's watching right now. You know that, right?
What team does she support?
Not a football fan, so yeah,
smart.
That might be why.
Yeah.
But after that, I had a ticket for Northampton versus Wrexham in League One, and I thought that it was going to be a 3 p.m. kickoff. So I left London sort of just after midday, and I forgot that the EFL have moved a bunch of games now to be 12:30 kickoffs.
Why did they do that?
Because they put them on TV now. There's like a service where you can watch like 2 or 3 like early kickoffs every Saturday in all of the EFL leagues. So I realized when I got in my car and I put like the sat nav in for Northampton, and I looked at like the roads around the stadium and they were already like all showing up red, and I was like, oh, that's busy for early in the day. I was like, let me check, this isn't an early kickoff, and it turns out it was a 12:30 kickoff. So I drove there, I pulled into the stadium car park and got in the ground just as the second half was kicking off. It was already 2-0 to Wrexham. The game finished 2-0, so I didn't see any goals. I just saw about 50 long throws, which you can see on the video on my Instagram.
I know. I'm looking at the video. I'm looking at the video now because I want to bring up the comparison between the Wrexham, the level of the Wrexham game, stadium, pitch, and crowd compared to the ninth league team that you went to go see.
Yeah, so I came out of that game, and like the venue for my show that night was about 45 minutes away from Northampton, and the 12:30 game that's finished at like 2:30. So I'm like, I don't need to be at the venue for 5 hours. It's a 45-minute drive away.
Oh shit!
And it's too far for me to go home. So I was like, I need to fill this afternoon with something, because I thought I was going to be filling it at a 3 p.m. game.
No dates you could have went to on the app real quick and got one in that town.
Maybe. But my first thought
if you got her ticket for Northampton and West Ham to go with you, that means she's really interested in you. If she
she didn't come to the football. No, it was more.
No, but I'm saying if that's a good test, for the potential relationship. If she agrees to go to a game like that, that means that she's a keeper, man.
Well, she might have been like, yeah, I watched that show. I'll go. That show about that football team. We're going to a taping.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. About
Wrexham.
that.
Yeah, I go.
Well, I should have just said Ryan Reynolds, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
But I didn't see him at the game. Yeah, so I quickly hopped on my phone and I was like, right, what else is going on that I can get to within half an hour? And I saw there was a game in the 9th division, which is the level I used to play at. And But it was raining quite a bit, and I was like, well, let me just go there. Let me see if this is happening. There's nothing on the club's like Twitter to say the game isn't happening. So I went and watched Bugbrook St Michael's versus St Neots Town in the 9th tier. The pitch, like, this game should not have been played.
This is like a school. They're playing at a school.
No, they got their own. That's their own stadium.
Stadium is a strong word.
Yeah, I mean, it's enclosed. It's got a fence. There was a stand with a handful of seats.
This guy has to. I'm looking at the video. This guy has to run out the mud to do a long throw.
Yeah, it was a swamp of a pitch. You know, the referee was like, "Yeah, this game's going to happen." There were parts of the pitch where the ball went bouncing. The away team won 5-0, and some of the goals were comical. Like, at one point, the ball was like, the other team played a long ball, and a defender tried to head the ball back to the goalkeeper, but because the pitch was so heavy, he headed it and it just went down and stopped in the mud, and a striker just ran through and went round the keeper and scored. And yeah, there was a lot of heavy tackles happening as well. Yeah, a lot of long throws. So yeah, I managed to see 2 games. Well, I managed to see 1.5 games in a day, and then went up to do the show afterwards, which was nice.
There's no stands like across the pitch. It's just a chain link fence.
They're on the side when I am.
Right. But across, I'm saying across from where you are, is this a chain link fence, and then they put the banner ads up along the fence.
Yeah.
Like, there's no stands. There's only stands on the side of the pitch that you're shooting from. And
you don't need stands if only like 100 people are going to show up.
Like, who are the true fans? How many fans like this team Knots got? Is this Knots' home or the other team's home?
It was Bugbrook St Michael's home, and St Neots Town were the visitors, and they're top of the league, and they actually brought quite a few fans. But because of the rain as well, like, people would normally spread out around the pitch in better weather. Because of the rain, everyone was huddled in like the side where I was.
for warmth. Yo, guys, if y'all want to see grassroots English football, like, go to Lee Hudson Comedy, go to his stories, and it's a fun video of like the levels. You'll see the levels to English football. It's bananas.
By the way, talking about lower leagues, I'm sure you know, Lee, about that, but you guys may not know. Andy Carroll is scoring goals for Bordeaux, 4th league in France. Andy Carroll is still playing and scoring a lot of goals.
He's living a lovely lifestyle, though. He gets to live in Bordeaux, which is a fantastic city. He says he can just live his life. No one is asking him for photos or following him around stores or anything like that. That's a lovely way to sort of semi-retire, in my opinion. He's still scoring goals as well. So just going and playing for the love, because he's not earning that much money there. He's even said that. He said, like, it's maybe costing him money.
Hilarious. People were asking Andy Carroll for photos in England.
In Newcastle, they were. He was like the local.
I'm sure he was
the local
Liverpool
hero.
paid for him like 50 million, right?
No, I thought did the Newcastle fans turn on him after he left? Was it him trying to leave, or they sold?
I think after he left, yeah. But he was a pretty like key player for West Ham for a little while as well.
He played for England.
Scored goals there, yeah.
At tournaments.
Also, people here are weird because they'll talk crazy amounts of shit online about someone, and then if they see them in the streets, it'll be like, "Oh my god, can I have a picture?" That's like the mentality these days.
That's me.
Because Andy Carroll was kind of one of those players that people like to hate, you know, saying that he doesn't have skills, that he's just tall and he can only do this, he can only do that. But to be quite honest with you, he had a really good career. I mean, not that he scored quite a bit of goals in the
He scored some spectacular goals as well.
Yeah, it's the thing. That's the thing. Those spectacular goals didn't help him because it makes you expect it more. And you're like, why isn't this spectacular goal motherfucker doing this all the time? You know what I mean? It's just, he's like lightning. He never strike twice, you know? But good for him. I'm glad he loves football so much that he's just enjoying his time in Bordeaux. Good for him.
Yeah, I'm jealous. It's a nice lifestyle.
Yeah. Congrats on that. You guys want to do a fantasy league?
Yeah, we can talk about that. So,
Chris said no.
so yeah, no movement with me or Martin, but I gained on him a little bit. Martin got 60 points so far this week. I've got 68.
But you got 8
Um,
minus points, so it's 60 overall, right? So you had the same. We had the same because you had 8 deducted.
What do you mean?
I
I'm on
think
68 right now. There's no deductions.
because you made 3 transfers, and I think you got deductions now.
I made 1 extra transfer. Oh no, I had to do an extra. I tried to do 2 extra because of injuries. But I think the 68 is with the deductions already.
Okay.
Damn, Martin. Jesus.
But it's not the final figure though, because we both got a bunch of players to play in the Liverpool Villa game. So Martin's got Trent, McAllister, Salah, and Rodgers. So that's 4 players involved. I've got Disasi and I've got Emery as my assistant manager chip for Villa for this one, but I've also got Salah and Luis Diaz as well, and Alisson in goal. So yeah, we're both going to pick up some points in that game. I don't know who's going to pick up more, so we'll see which way that happens. But yeah, we both had an okay week, although we both did, like I say, pretty well the week before. Martin especially got like crazy amount of points, 152 points the week previous, with a bunch of big scores. So Martin got 152 the week before. I got 138 the week before. So we both jumped up a few positions. We were down in the 20s that week, and then we both jumped up with we both played the assistant manager chip quite well that week. But at the top is no change. It's Ahmad Zekri number 1, Brian Avina number 2, and Joey Duda number 3. Those guys, similar sort of points to me and Martin as well, most of them. So yeah, we're getting there, and then just trying to pick a team for next week. It's some tough games because Liverpool playing Man City as well. So everyone that's loaded up on Liverpool players, City all of a sudden could be a test with this. Now that they found their Rodri replacement.
Have they?
Yeah. Did you not see the stats?
What happened?
It's Nico Gonzalez, the Spanish midfielder they signed. He put up numbers in the game against Newcastle. So it's the first time all season that Man City had not allowed the opposition to create what's classed as a big chance. So it was the first time a player's ever got over 100 passes, over 100 successful passes on their debut. And he had a 97% success rate with his passes, which is the most on a player debut as well.
And it's interesting because Liverpool, that was the first game they didn't have, except for the 2 goals they scored, they didn't have a single shot on goal
in the second half.
Yeah.
So it could be an interesting game this weekend between them. So I mean, it would have been regardless anyway. So
who you guys got on that? Because I feel, listen, first of all, why is Liverpool playing Villa in the middle of the week, the only game?
Because of the Carabao Cup final in a few weeks. That was meant to be that weekend, so they've had to shift it midweek so that Liverpool can play the Carabao Cup final that weekend.
Yeah,
so the Carabao Cup might cost Liverpool the league, because listen, so they play.
Not just that. Don't forget, and that was the point I was trying to make. You know, they also had the biggest amount of points in the Champions League in the group stages. They played the best teams in all the competitions, and the last couple of games are kind of huffing and puffing a little bit. 2-2 with Everton. They barely beat Wolves now, so they're like, maybe they're a little tired. Who knows? Maybe.
Yeah, and then they got that game that they didn't play. They had to just play it midweek. Then they had to play Wolves. Now they have to play Villa. So if they're not tired and they beat Villa on Wednesday, how could they not be tired versus Man City this week? Like, everybody's resting over the next 2 weeks, except it's not just who they have to play, it's the condition they have to play. So if they win these 2 games, I never say you're the champion this early, but I'll give it to them. But this is going to be tough. Like
And they still play FA Cup. And I remember when Klopp quit FA Cup. There was one season he quit, right? He didn't play FA Cup or something like that.
I don't know. Can't remember.
He pulled the team out of FA Cup. I think that was a pretty big deal a couple of
Oh,
years
he
ago.
played a bunch of kids or something.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But this guy seems to play all his best players in all those games. So
I mean, he did against Plymouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is rougher than I thought. Aston Villa midweek and Man City, Liverpool, and then you tell me about this midfielder. You know, can he have another great game? His second Premier League game, and he's being coached by Pep, so it's highly likely and possible. And Mamouche, and like some confidence. Did this kid play in that Champions League game against
look at this,
Real
guys.
Madrid or no?
Guys. It gets worse. So they play Villa on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
They play City on Sunday, and again on Wednesday they play Newcastle in the league.
Are they the only team playing midweek? We know they're
Twice.
playing. It's relentless.
So it's Villa, then City, then Newcastle. That could be a critical stretch for them.
Is anybody else playing midweek?
Not this week, midweek. No.
The one where they have to play Newcastle.
Yeah, the week after there's a whole round of fixtures because that's when we're playing Chelsea that midweek as well. There's like a whole round.
But those are like
midweek.
three tough games in a row in just 1 week.
Yeah, and to answer your question, Nico Gonzalez didn't play the Real Madrid game. Stones played as the CDM. He was on the bench but didn't come on.
Yeah.
Gonzalez. So, but I mean, this is a sort of game where Liverpool can raise their game, though. You never know. But I'm going to sit on the fence and say it's going to be a 1-1 at the Etihad.
That's not a good result for Liverpool if they want to win the title. That's just going to give Arsenal and their new forward Mourinho hope.
I think it's 7-point gap, but I think Liverpool have a game in hand, don't they? Which is this.
No, it's all 25 now. Everybody got 25.
All 25. Okay, yeah, that's
what I was just wondering. Why do they have this one game midweek?
I want a title race. I don't want to see a team, just stroll off into the sunset with like 5, 6, 7 games to go. I want to see a race.
I mean, it's a race. It's a race. Chris, who you got in this? Liverpool or Man City?
I mean, after this derby and the way Liverpoolians have talked about Evertonians, I can't believe I'm saying this because I don't really like Man City. I like Pep, but I don't really like Haaland or anyone. But I don't know. I'm torn, fellas. Tell me who to go for, because it's I don't love the crosstown rivals the way they talk about us, but at the same time, I like disruption in sports. I don't like the same people always winning. So I don't know. Liverpool, I guess.
I feel like it's a draw.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come sit on the fence with me.
Yeah. So sit on that that 9 league fence. Who you got, Martin?
I think Liverpool still, but I think they may lose against Newcastle after that.
All right. Yeah, they can't last all the way through this run without dropping something. That's a crazy.
Southampton, baby. Southampton gonna upset Liverpool.
Hilarious.
Look like you mean upset, like you make them upset? Make them angry?
Upset them by only letting 5 in? Like what type of upset?
Dude,
let them only score 4? Like what?
Yeah. Southampton are gonna hire Sean Dyche. All right.
You know what? That's a good call.
That's not a bad idea.
That's a great call.
Shithousery 101.
Yeah.
I have a better call. They should do what Everton did with Moyes and bring back Hasenhüttl.
he's in the middle of the league in Germany right now. Or is it Spain? Germany,
yeah, he's Wolfsburg in the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
That's a good team.
Yeah, he's not doing bad over there. All right, guys. Well, that's it. Everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Ask us some questions in the comments, and we'll answer those questions on the next podcast. Thank you all for joining. Neil Chakravarti, Chris Triani. Everton will be even higher up the table next week. I have a feeling.
I don't know.
But don't worry, we have some consistency. Man United and Southampton will still be in the bottom. I don't know what Spurs is going to do next week. Who knows? Who you got, Martin, again?
Ipswich, I think. So it could be a loss because we lost at home to them previously.
Yeah, and they got a point from Villa this week.
Yeah.
Villa should have won that. Ipswich was down a man for most of that game, and Villa just got a tie. That's not Villa's been sucking in the league lately. So
yeah,
even though they have an amazing squad, but we'll see. But everybody take care of each other. What's your socials?
Lee Hudson Comedy, if you want to see my my adventures around the UK watching football, doing comedy.
Yeah, you made a good video. I like it.
Yeah, it was good.
You
can follow me. It's at Chris Trani. That's it. Trani. Be sure to say it out loud so I can consider you.
And for me, it's Martin _ Harris LA. Martin _ Harris LA.
LA, did you add the LA or it was?
Yeah, I think there was a Martin Harris, so I had to add LA when I started Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm at Ian Edwards Comic on Instagram and on YouTube. Love y'all. Take care of each other, and we'll talk to y'all next week.
Bye.
Okay, the derby.